always, hope it gets better for you. Welcome and thanks for joining me on another Friday Night Live Q&A, where we sit and talk about aquarium keeping, whatever it may be with aquarium keeping that you may have questions. This is kind of an open forum that where you can feel safe about asking any questions. We do not judge like some, and we're all at different levels of keeping aquariums, and that's why I try to provide these Friday Night Live Q&As to help people, because I've actually learned a lot from doing these throughout the years, and I know many other people that have too. And obviously I don't know everything about keeping aquariums, so we have an awesome community here to help us. But hello everybody in the chat, glad to see you in here. And as far as what's been going on around here, I usually start these off until the questions start rolling in. I start talking about what's been going on. But as far as what's been going on around here, finally got my editing space figured out. So saying that, I'm going to have a video for you guys this weekend. It's going to be more of an updates video, what's kind of been going on in the fish room, and just some here and there kind of thing. Stuff that I thought you guys would be finding interesting, and I found interesting myself. And so I'm excited about that, excited about having that space, and hopefully get a lot more content pumped out for you guys. And also been moving a lot of the fish from outside to inside. The nights have stayed at within the 60s, which is still pretty warm, but there was a cold spell that came through and it actually got down to the 40s a couple nights, and that was kind of chilly for some of my fish, especially my rainbows that I've been breeding out there and raising up pretty much all summer and spring. And so I didn't want anything to happen to those, so brought those in. Took some videos of it all. I'll have that out eventually. I've got to catch up first, which the next video is going to be more in the time frame of right before Hurricane Helene came in. So kind of what I was doing then. I was getting ready for a guest at that point that actually will be here, because we had to reschedule because of hurricane. That will be here this Monday. So I've got a bit to do with preparation. I don't know if I'll really do a whole lot, because there's only so much I can do, but I kind of halted moving things around, because when I do move things around, it really mucks up the tanks and sometimes takes them a while to settle. And plus I would like to get that kind of footage before I move it all. But anyways, I'll be excited to have him over to do a fish room tour, which will be Jimmy Sashimi Whiskey, the man himself, coming over for Fritz Aquatics. And then so I got that to get ready for. And then also Aquashell is coming this next weekend in Daytona. So I'll be there. I'll have a booth. I was thinking about taking some of my containers that I had made the fry racks out and that I hold my killifish in. Might take some of those. Thinking about taking some fish, not 100% sure. Maybe take some driftwood, some cool sticks, because, you know, us aquarium keepers like our cool sticks. And I don't know, maybe some rocks, maybe some plants, mystery snails. I'll have some mystery snails there. But I'm excited just to hang out at Daytona and talk to everybody. A lot of people I ain't seen for a long time. Hello everybody coming into the chat. Still see that there is no questions yet, so I mean, I guess that's good. Must be enough information out there now. Aquarium keeping must have gotten a lot easier for everybody. So, hey, can't be anything wrong with that. Because, you know, like, even though I've done this for years, I've seen it evolve for years too. And at least it's progressing. So that's always good. Let's see what else has happened this week. Oh yeah, a couple times. I don't know what was going on with one morning I woke up, felt like one of my fingers was broke. Woke up the next morning, that one still was hurting, then the other one was hurting, and my leg, I don't know, must have been getting old or something. That was kind of weird deal with that this week. Besides that, I don't know, not much else. So, I don't know. If you guys don't have questions, then it's kind of harder for me to do these live Q&As. Aquarium Fantasy, good to see you, brother. Says, Lucas, how are the axolotls? The axolotls are doing good. Actually, I cleaned up their glass the other day, and they're not as chunky as they used to be. I don't know if they learned not to overeat, because I definitely got enough shrimp in there with them, but they're still doing well. They look healthy. I need to do a update video on them soon. That's the nice thing about having this editing space now, to where it's not so bad for me, where it's not like giving me carpal tunnel. Freaking, I can catch up with things and then get into more of those, like, okay, here's these actual like update or axolotl videos or specialized like topic videos that I've been wanting to do for such a long time. So soon I will update you guys on those. Patty's Aquatic says, Lucas, you think if I add heaters to a rice fish tank, it will get them to entice breeding? I don't know why you would really need to. I've seen them breed in cooler temperatures. Actually, the ones that I had outside, my king yamas, they tend to like to breed in a little bit cooler temperatures. So I've got more of the babies out from, like, here it was winter, spring kind of time, which was just like right when the spring was coming in, starting to warm up. That's when they really bred like crazy. And then as far as like through the summer, through the heat, they didn't really do a whole lot. So I don't think it would do them too much benefit. And I've bred all those rice fish inside in mid 70s, so it's not like a known trigger. Queen Bleh of ghosting says, are pygmy Coradora sensitive? No, not really. They're actually pretty hardy. You just got to be careful with keeping them on like sharper substrates, like a Eco Complete where it's lava rock, which isn't like real bad for them. And then also, as far as water parameters, they're not sensitive. As far as like other fish picking on them, you do have to watch that, because they do kind of wiggle around on the bottom. They're fairly small. And if you have any fish that gets curious and wants to peck at them, then potentially could be an issue. A lot of it could just be where you get them and how you get them. Tanya H says, Lucas, any idea why I don't have many blue shrimp babies? I have lots of rocks and a big pile of moss. There with 2 neon gobies and ram's horn snails. Tanks have been up for 7 years. Yeah, definitely those gobies probably, because that's like a natural food source for them. Tiny little invertebrates would be great little snacks for those neon gobies. Are those like blue stifidants? Absolutely love those gobies though. But that could be why, because they just don't get to the size, because they're probably getting eaten. And having the rock piles, the stifidants, they love rock piles too. But I mean, you're on the right track. It's just the neon gobies. That's would be what I would say your issue. Trusted Melon says, hello, how's the Florida life? I'm absolutely loving Florida. Weather has been so great around here. It's actually been pretty hot. Even though it's just been in the 80s, the sun is just like, it's strong. So I gotta watch how much time I can spend out there. But I feel blessed to be able to spend time out there and mess around with my tubs and not have to worry about freezing yet. So I can't complain, can't complain. Queen Blah of Ghosting says, how are the goldfishes? The goldfishes are doing well. Wesley and I have talked about his goldfishes, and we may be moving them out of the 55-gallon into a 110-gallon tub, which I don't know what I'm going to do with that 55-gallon in his room, which, I mean, that's kind of up to him. Maybe he'll want some different fish. But they're doing good, and I think we're going to get them a bigger home, since they didn't end up having babies and all that jazz. Lake Missoula Aquatics says, are you getting killie babies? So I put the blue glarses together. I still haven't had time to actually check their mops to see if they did anything. So I don't know if I am or not. It happens all the time when I get those, because there'll just be things to pop up that I had to get ready for. Like, I wasn't really planning on going to Aquashell and doing like a whole booth and all that, but the opportunity arose, so I took it, and priorities got to change. And so that's what I'm doing now, focusing on that and trying to get the fish in before the winter. So being down here in Florida is a bit different from living in Indiana where I used to live. And so I've got to learn the cycles of what I do throughout my fish room, because building it all brand new, and then as far as what's going to take my time, when and where, outdoor stuff's kind of all new for that too. And so haven't had as much time to focus on the killies as I wanted to. I at least wanted to put them together though, because I didn't want the female to end up getting egg bound, and I know they don't have much time, and I would rather her to have that release instead of having issues with her later down the road. Because some of those killie mamas, if you don't get them bred out, they could get egg bound, and it would be problematic for them. But I do need to look into there. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Trusted Melon says, I still can't believe you had a fight with the other fish guy. You know, wild world, huh? Wild world. And it was not beloved, too. That's the thing. That's the funny thing. Tanya H says, I've had blues before that did well and then died out after adding the gobies. Yeah. Those gobies, I mean, they don't really seem like they would be much, but they've actually got pretty big mouths. They're like little dragons. Aquarium Fantasy, yeah, send us an email. That way you're just in the email list, and we'll hit you up next week, and we got something for you, bro. He's been a huge supporter for so long of the channel. He's been wanting these Glossolepis maculosus, and now I've got some available, which if you guys didn't see the short, they are on the website now, lrbaquatics.com, and there's a lot of stuff on there right now, more stuff on the website than ever has been. So we got things moving around in here, things are doing good, but I want to make sure that he gets those rainbow fish. Because at least I'll know where some more will be like later in the future, you know, just in case I need to mix genetics or something like that. And he's got quite a big fish room too, so I know he'll take care of them. Queen Blah of Ghosting says, will you ever consider keeping reef tanks? Managed to keep fishes and corals alive for 4 months, and I'm a beginner. So I do have a plan to keep some shrimp, some of those blood red shrimp at some point. But that's one of those focus things too. Like, I've got many things that are kind of in priority first. Unless I get some crazy whims and just like somebody hands me all the stuff for it at like Aquashell or something, then I might be like, all right, forced into it. But until that time, I gotta wait, because I had to proactively go seek the shrimp, make sure they're coming from a good space, and then also put their tank up right. And doing a saltwater no filter is, I don't know, because I feel like the water would need to be mixed, because I feel like the salts in the water would settle. So I feel like there has to be some circulation with saltwater. But I could be wrong. I've seen some saltwater tanks and environments done without filters. Tanya H says, I've had the blues. Scroll. Oh, yeah, I read that one. Jackson says, how do you sex red neon blue eye rainbows? So usually the males will have a lot more finnage, and the females not so much, and they won't be as bright in color. They'll look different than the actual females. Like Missoula Aquatics says, have you ever thought about breeding any new tetras or danios lately? So I do have some danios and I have some tetras, and I've actually got some breeding baskets made out. So I'm just really going to probably throw them in there and just hope for the best and see what happens. Yes, Aquarium Fantasy. It would be LRB Aquatics at orders. Or lrbaquatics.orders@gmail.com. Jupiter One says, with 4 more years of open borders, do you anticipate a wider variety of fish imports? Less check scrutiny may lead to some cool and otherwise illegal stuff. Thoughts? I don't know how much legality to a lot of fish there is, besides like maybe the ones from Brazil and stuff now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't mess with a whole lot of imports, luckily. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, had you found any mascara bar babies? So actually, I dealt with their pond here recently. So I've got a video I got to come out with on those guys here soon. So you'll see. But, all right, I am at the bottom of the chat, so if you got a question, that is where I'm at. And if not, then I don't know how long I'll be on here, because I really don't have a whole lot to talk about. Dean Stevenson says, are you going to do just vertical lives now? So I'm in a horizontal live. I haven't done a vertical live for a while. I know a lot of people didn't like the vertical lives, so I started doing the horizontal lives. And then by the time then, I don't know. Does it look like a vertical to you? Or that's what you meant, was a horizontal? Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Even though I would probably have better luck doing vertical lives, but a lot of people are like, yeah, but that was on accident. Everybody likes more of the view, so I try to give them more of the view, but as far as the algorithm pushing it out, it really doesn't push it out for anything in front of new viewers at all. Yeah, I know you like the horizontal better. But at the same time, you know, it's tough for the channel. It's tough for the channel. I got a family to feed. Queen Blatt of Ghosting says, is your outdoor ponds have predator issues? Luckily, not too bad. I do got like a pretty decent sized frog living in my trout Goudiid pond. And I imagine that dude's probably not good for things. And the dragonfly nymphs were a big real pain. So I would like to get something screened in for them here in the future, but that's kind of an expensive project, and I'll have to be down the road. So that's my biggest thing. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with birds or anything like that. I try not to put anything too flashy out there that will like draw a whole lot of attention. So luckily that hasn't been too much of an issue. Then we've got ponds on the property to help detour them over to the other ponds. Hello everybody coming in. Glad to see you. And I think I've had some raccoons messing around with them, but they don't really do a whole lot. Hard for them to catch those little fish. Jupiter 1 says you should come to Space Coast meeting auction tomorrow. Yeah, if I only had more time. If I only had more time. Dracon Tosh says, will algae grow in spiderwood easily? If there's a lot of light on it, any driftwood will grow algae on it. Rock surfaces, wood surfaces are just literal algae magnets. Really anything that's just like decoration. If you put too much light on it, it'll grow algae. Algae loves to stick to it. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, when are you expanding the fish room? I guess whenever I get more of these fish sold. I gotta sell all these fish first. And the more of them I sell, the sooner it'll happen. So who knows? Or if some other things pop off. And I could pay for it quicker. But I would like to. I think about it all the time. Pretty much every day. Dream big though. Gotta dream big, because even if you fall short, you're at least doing pretty good. Queen Blett of Ghosting says, does your water come from the ground? It does, and it's really not the best water. But I gotta work with what I got. It's well water, it's a shallow well, lots of iron, lots of sulfur, a little bit of arsenic sprinkled in. And it works. But eventually would like to get a deep well. That's actually that's more priority than actually expanding the fish room. As far as building onto that, is I would like to get a deep well. Because we have a deep well at the house, and the water that comes out of it is magnificent. It's not too much iron, not too much sulfur. A right amount of calcium, limestone. So it's a little soft, a little hard. Aquarium Fantasy says, when are you doing more member live stream again? I was thinking about that earlier today, how I should be doing one. I don't know, maybe we'll see if I can get one popped up into this weekend as far as time schedule. Maybe we'll do something outside. Travis Head says, how do you keep film off the top of the water with no flow? You know, I don't know. I do not have film on like pretty much any of my top of my tanks. Sometimes protein films happen, and usually happens towards when the tank is newer. So I would say you could either do a water change your way out of it to get the excess proteins out, and or get like guppies or molly or platy or something that likes to mouth at the top of the water. Like get a couple rice fish, they'll clean that stuff up super fast. And once all those proteins are out, then they're gone. And I would guess it's just the microorganisms probably eating it all up. Since after your tank's established so much, you know, in a no filter tank, you've got so much microbiology going on because it doesn't get destroyed getting run through a filter as much with like seed shrimp and little microorganisms like that, cyclops, other things. But I do want to thank all my members for their support lately too, and being patient with me. I'm trying to get more established here. And yeah, I really do need to do a video. Man, look at that. That's just from like trying to keep my finger up there, flipping the phone. I don't know why my hand's being so sensitive lately. A little weird. Alright, I gotta get back to where I was here. Any luck getting functional pumps? Lake Missoula Aquatics asks. No, I haven't yet. There's a guy that's near that's like a pump pro, and I would like to call him over, but I don't want to call him over until I actually have a little money to throw at him and be like, oh, thanks for helping me with my problems. Because I don't want to like just dive into it and trying to fix this, that, and that, and it not be this, that, and that. I would rather try to fix it properly the first time and not have to mess and bother with things, considering time is my most essential thing in the world. And I don't have time to really tinker it away. So I would like to get that guy's opinion first before I really dive into it all. Gareth Doyle says, any tips for Tetra axelrodi to spawn? So I personally have not spawned them. So as far as my advice, may not be as good as somebody else who has spawned them, but I know a lot of those Tetra species do prefer to be spawned in like dark water. And then you can use like a breeding basket or something in a bigger tub or tank. And also there was this, what was a YouTube video Rachel O'Leary did of seagrass farm down here in South Florida. That's how they always did it. They would throw the parents into like these styrofoam containers with like ripped up plastic that kind of looked like spawning mops, and then they would just lay eggs all over it, and that's how they would spawn them in the dark. But if anybody has ever spawned them, in the chat, let Gareth know your opinion. So who would like to? Jupiter1 says, I have one tub with green slime film at the top. I scoop it off and it's back 2 days. Any ideas? A green slime, is it like a blue-green? Is it potentially cyanobacteria? If it is cyanobacteria, they do have like this, man, I can't remember what it's called. Shoot. Do you guys know what that stuff's called for the cyanobacteria, remember? It's like slime away. And then I think something else like, shoot, what is it? API, not the general cure, but something else they have. I can't freaking remember the medicine so much because I don't use them so much. But potentially that's what it could be. I have seen other green algae slimes that have coated the top and they just kind of disappear, kind of like a hair algae. But a cyano, it'll be more like a blue and green, if it is that. And if not, it may just be some other kind of just green slime algae. What you could do is get like a deli cup. Like say get your cup and then say this is the water level. Just barely put the cup there to where it gets the surface tension to just pull the top of the proteins and whatever's on the top, because all that stuff's kind of stuck together. And you'll be able to pull a lot of more of that out than just kind of trying to scoop. You gotta use the water tension as your friend. Erythromycin, thank you for reminding me that, you guys. That's what I was trying to think of. I think that's a cheaper way to do it. Even though I don't know what that stuff costs these days anymore. I know last time I checked, some of that stuff was kind of pricey. I couldn't believe it. It was really weird. Mikey Fish Tank says, what kind of business license would I need to sell fish? You don't need a license. Now, you start getting into importing and stuff, that's a different story. You would need a license for that. Aquarium Fantasy, Lucas, I made a short on one of my pair of blue Galaris. That's awesome to hear. You know, if I see blue Galaris, I'm going to read that because I'm a fan. Queen Blood Ghosting says Dropsy is curable. So what do you do for Dropsy, Queen Blood? Enlighten us. I have seen it go away. I've seen some fish have Dropsy and then it just go away naturally. But it's really here there on whether they're gonna really get over it, because not every fish has the same immunity and availability to heal themselves. You know, some fish aren't as strong, unfortunately. I would like to hear. She says, seeking medication cured dropsy. Okay. What kind? Or like a certain, is it like a general like medicine, or what kind? Scuba Sivo Aquatic says, is Canoplex that helps dropsy? I don't know. That Canoplex is pretty wild stuff though. I remember having a little bit of that a long time ago. I haven't used it forever. That's like a hardcore medicine from what I hear. As far as like, I would only use it if, back then I would have only used it if I thought that it was just something crazy that I really had to. These days, I don't touch hardly any medicine with a 10-foot pole. Okay, so Queen Bless says yes, Canoplex, he can cure dropsy. Interesting. DBC Aquatic says Canamycin or Maricin 2 for dropsy. Interesting. Yeah, see, the reason why I don't like to dose stuff like that, and the reason why hospital tanks are important, if you are going to do that kind of medicine, it is best to do in a hospital tank, because some of that stuff is really hard on the beneficial bacteria and can really destroy the microbiology of a system, which can cause a lot of other problems. It's harsh stuff. It's harsh stuff. But if, you know, I don't know. I've seen so many fish pull out of like crazy things naturally that I feel like it's almost better to let them just do what nature does. Because, you know, out in the wild, there isn't some dude out there dosing general cure in the ponds and whatnot. And nature still thrives and lives all over the place. That's why fish breeding a numbers game. And they're not all the same, even though they can all look the same, all be the same fish. They are not all the same. Yeah, it'll be nice to see you too, Jay Olivers. You gonna be at Daytona? Hopefully that'll be cool. Queen Blood Ghosting says Canoplex killed the pygmy corridor thought, but cured the Serpatetra. 3 years old from Dropsy. Yeah. Probably because that Canoplex probably settled a lot at the bottom and the pygmy cories sift a lot. So they probably cycled a lot through their bodies, especially like those fish that you would find a lot of detritus within their gut biome, that like mouth, that kind of stuff, would probably be more susceptible to overdosage on it. I can imagine. And sometimes that's how that stuff goes too, like cure one problem just to create another. And that's what my talk really talks about as its main point for the one I do for clubs, is like taking that human error out. Like you're fixing one problem, but once again, you'll create another problem. So you gotta quit fighting things. That's what I've learned the most is like, the more you fight things, the harder it'll be. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, we get more Golden Wonder killifish. For the longest time, I wanted to get some from you. So I wanted mine to breed, but I ended up with 2 males. So, you know, that kind of was a problem. I haven't really seen or came across any. And I don't know, to blindly buy Golden Wonders online from somebody, because I've seen some lines and I've seen some genetics from them, and they're not all equal when it comes to Golden Wonders. Excuse me. And I kind of got spoiled on the first ones I ever had, which were like really crazy gold and huge. So I've always kind of been on the search of like, if I'm going to get them and spend the time with them, they've really got to be worth spending the time with them. I mean, as you know, with my blue Galaris, I have hard enough time like taking the time to breed those out. Which, you know, I've also got to balance myself too, because, you know, if I breed a lot of fish out and I can't move them, that becomes an issue too. Pearly Mopar says, what happened to Nate at your old place? I wish I could get some black Dumbo ear Moscow guppies. I don't know. Supposedly his website is still up. I haven't talked to him for a long time. I should probably just send him a message and just be like, yo, did you forget about me? But he kind of keeps to himself, so I can't really pry too much, or I try not to pry too much. I'm just not that prying type of person. Although I should probably be more so, I don't know. Like Missoula Aquatic says, I think the original for the Golden Wonder are pretty cool. Have you ever had them? So I've never had the original Lineatus. Because the Golden Wonder killifish is actually a mutation from a wild fish where they got this like xanthic form out of it, which is xanthic is a yellow or gold mutation, fancy word for that. And they just bred it out to make it absolutely beautiful. So it's kind of a natural fish, but not a natural fish. I think they did all that in Germany. Travis says, Head says, how cold do your ponds get in the winter? So in the winter time, I haven't had any of these ponds set up. So this will be this first winter down here, how cold they get. Up north, some of them will get super cold. As long as it didn't ice up, the rice fish would be all right. But they would get freezing up north. As far as down here, I can imagine they could drop down to the 40s. So I do got to be careful with what I keep out there. Although I live in Florida, I'm not living in like southern Florida where it's constantly hot all the time. Kind of honestly, I look forward to winter a little bit, and I didn't think I'd ever say that in my life. But I do kind of now. I still kind of don't because of the fish, and I would love to keep the fish out there, but I do like just a little break from the heat. Although I prefer constant summer, I love it. It's nice to get a break from it. And the thing about our winters are really only at night too. When it gets real cold. And it warms up during the day. And my in-ground ponds are actually going to stay warmer than my above-ground ponds. Matter of fact, when I was pulling out some fish out of my tubs earlier this week, kind of a little closer to after the cold spell, I could feel it was pretty chilly in there, like 60 degrees at least had to been. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Spec V Turbo says, yeah, changing the chemistry to me has been my downfall. I really don't do it anymore, just water changes, but not very frequently. I've had good success with this method. Yeah, the less you mess with it, the better or easier and more stable it can be. I think that's really the key, is just balancing that stability. And a lot of it is just working with what goes well with your water. Like some fish, a lot of fish, and most fish will pretty much live in any water. But when it comes to like breeding them, um, it's a different story. As far as if you're trying to breed them, you want to at least breed with what works within your type of water. But always good to see you in here, Spec V. It's been around a long time. You too, Chi-Town Pack. Good to see you in here. Mentioning people to become a member, I appreciate that. And your membership. Now that I got editing things more stabilized, maybe I can do a little more membership benefit kind of stuff. That's just a lot of just trying to organize my whole life and what I do with what all I do. And you guys that have been members for a long time, you guys realize I ebb and flow a lot with that kind of stuff. Aquarium Fantasy, are you taking the mascara barbs back inside? I told you you're going to have to wait. I'll be able to tell you all about them in a video coming soon. Johnny Bass says, I want to set up a Fluval Stratum 7.5 cube gallon tank with no filter. How would advise a newbie to do it? So a little 7.5 cube with Stratum. Not a fan of Stratum myself personally. I would rinse it, because if not, you're going to get a bit of cloudy water. And it does say to rinse that substrate before you use it. And it will take a bit to rinse all the cloudiness off of it, because it's got like, I don't know what on it. And then you use that, and that stuff's fairly inert. But the best thing to do would get that in there. Now, whether you use plants, whatever, rocks, whatever, you can or you don't, it doesn't really matter. And then the main thing is giving that new tank some time to cycle. As far as like, you could put a snail in there to speed up the process as far as the beneficial bacteria and the microorganisms, the microbiology getting a foothold. I would hold off on water changes for like the first few weeks. And or if you have media like beneficial bacteria from another tank and or aquarium water from another tank, you can actually use that within that aquarium to help speed that process up. So the main point with starting any new tank is to be able to let that microbiology and beneficial bacteria grow to be able to take care of any ammonias and wastes that your fish may make, and shrimp. And you can do it with plants or without plants. Spec Feed Turbo says, Lucas, I for the life of me cannot get my red devil tetras to breed. Can't find anything on the internet about the breeding behavior, and I have tried all the normal tetra breeding techniques. Have you tried them, like blacking them out? Usually those tricky ones just black. A lot of fish, I don't know, for some reason they'll like to breed in the blackouts. And then with the basket, I don't know, sometimes they can be tricky, and then often that can be within diet. I personally would try Daphnia. Daphnia is one of the #1 triggers for fish to breed, because it does signal that springtime. And who knows, a lot of tetras come from wet seasons too. Sometimes they'll have that wet season trigger to where if they just get a lot of rain, a lot of water, and it's softer water. But then you've also got the issue with disturbance. So if you're in there with a hose messing around with all that, then, you know, that can kind of break up their cycle and ability to breed. That's another thing with like my fish tanks. Although I would like to like be in them a lot too, the less I mess with them, the better it is for getting things to breed. Because the less they know about you, the more they'll know about each other and wanting to breed. And if you're always walking around and playing and being in their tank, it's a lot tougher. It sounds like you're keeping at it. I mean, I hope it works out for you, and let us know what you find out. Because I know a lot of like fish, they can just be tricky. I mean, I've got many fish that are on my bucket list that have been on my bucket list for a long time, and they're just pains for me to breed. Slav Dangle says, I want to know, doesn't tank smell without water change? So no, it doesn't. You would be surprised. It doesn't smell at all. Actually, if your tank does smell, you've got a problem with your tank, and you probably need to do some water changes on it, and or get some more beneficial bacteria in it. Yeah, no, if your water smells, you got problems. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, have you ever done a massive DIY filter to clean all the water from water changes or use the water for other aquariums? Well, essentially that's what my well is. So if I dump all the water out of my aquariums into my yard and it goes back to the well, it naturally filters it out. So that's my, I guess, DIY natural method. But no, I haven't like created anything myself for that. That would be way too much space it would need to create something like that I could have aquariums in instead of just like barrels to hold that stuff. So that's why I never like really try to like do any of that. And Johnny Bass, thank you for the support for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate that, Johnny. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Queen Blatt of Ghosting says, what's the most difficult plant you keep? The most difficult plant I keep like a lot of the easiest plants, because just the systems I keep and the fact that I don't have the ability to change the water as much as I would like to with a lot of other tougher plants or more difficult plants, because some plants need their water changes. And now I've got some really rare plants, and you would be like, rarity and difficulty is not always the same. So I don't know. Maybe the Rotalia Hurrah. What plants really gave me trouble? I mean, Reishi loves its water change. It's hard to keep without water changes, although I have been. Sometimes, and it's weird too. So I have so many tanks, and you know, sometimes any plant could do really well in one tank, and then just do piss poor in another tank. So as far as like the reasoning behind that is, I think it's really kind of a random thing. I think that there's a numbers thing to it. I mean, there's probably more to it that I just don't know, and so I just think like that. But it's weird how I could have a lot of the systems be the same, but yet just little variations of something different, either with being in that tank or the light just slightly being different. It can cause one plant to be more difficult in one setup than the other. So the difficulty of plants not only just comes into, is the plant really difficult, or is it just what the system or the setting, is it more difficult to keep in that system and setting? So I think the way that we look at it hard to really judge what my most difficult plant would be that I keep. Janice Lundberg says, I don't expect extra, Lucas. I'm a member to support your channel. Well, that's why I love you, Janice, and really appreciate all your support for so long here. 51 months. You're absolutely amazing, Janice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I appreciate that you don't expect extra, because I do my best here. I'm trying to do my best for you guys. It hasn't been an easy road. But I am doing what I love, so I gotta remind myself of that. Yep, DBC Aquatics, you got it. Black out and play that Barry White in the background. Gotta set that mood. It's true, comfortability. And when it comes to setting the mood, that's what it's all about, comfortability. Make them feel comfortable. That's how you make your fish happy. Spec V Turbo says, Lucas, I have tried everything except the complete blackout method. I really can't find any info on these tetras in the hobby since it seems nobody has them. I'd like to send you a photo of them. Yeah, send me a photo of them. Yeah, definitely try out the blackout method. That's what I was talking about earlier in this live stream. That's how Seagrass would get a lot of their more difficult tetras to breed. So they'd stick them in these styrofoam coolers and make like little tanks out of them with this ripped up plastic spawning mop like stuff. And they would throw eggs all in that, so it was like a fake moss. They wouldn't feed them for days, and they'd keep them in there for like a week all blacked out. And there are a lot of rare tetras out there. I've got some tetras that pretty rare too, that they were more common, but now I don't even know if you can find them. And that'll probably be very likely that, you know, you see a lot more of that. The longer you're in the hobby, the more you learn that certain strains and types of fish don't always stick around. So you can have a favorite fish that is like all time. You sleep on it for too long, and it just may not be there. Aquarium Fantasy says, are you getting more kinds of shrimp? So the saddest section of my whole fish room is my shrimp section, just for the fact that I just have not been focusing that much time on shrimp. So I've got a lot of open tanks for shrimp. I got 640s that are just ready for water. I still haven't put water in them, and all kinds of 20s. So saying that, later down the road, I do plan on getting more. I've learned what's really done good for my water, which is more like the tigers and the neocarininas. The crystals, like the B types, they bred a little bit, but they just don't keep up their population, so I don't think my water is the best for them. I think the KH kind of bugs with them. So I'll probably stick around with, I may get some Suezis. I don't know if my water's going to be hard enough for them or not, though. And they kind of like it warmer. I don't really want to keep anything that I have to heat. Because anytime you got to heat an aquarium, that aquarium becomes a radiator heater, which it'll heat your whole room. So, I don't really want to do any of that. And that's what I don't know about those saltwater shrimp too. I guess I'd need to figure that out, like if they need to be heated. I don't think they do though. But eventually I would like to get more shrimp and then focus more onto the shrimp. The hard part about shrimp is once you stick them in the tank too, it's hard to switch them around. It's a lot of work to break down a shrimp tank and catch them all and make sure you catch them all. And then make sure that if you do put other shrimp in there, there's not going to be some shrimp that grows up later that ends up living with those shrimp and then screwing your whole lineage up. So it's like a whole long process to de-shrimp an aquarium, if it's had shrimp. A lot of them haven't had shrimp yet, though, because I known that was going to be an issue. So I try not to just throw shrimp in shrimp tanks just to throw them in there, because knowing in the future what it takes to redo it, I want to do it right the first time. So it's a process, like, it's all a process. Aquarium Fantasy says, are you going to try to make some automatic egg collectors? You know, I need some of those. I wish somebody had just like a .com I could buy one. Because once again, time and tinkering. But, you know, something like that would be really productive for me. I need to. Well, thank you, Lake Missoula Aquatics. I appreciate that. Spec V Turbo says, Lucas, how do you feel about shipping eggs? Is this something you have done before? Or is it more that you would bring them to the meet and sell them rather than ship them? So, I mean, the way that I breed a lot of fish, I don't usually even see the eggs. Since I'm playing musical fish method, where I'm just kind of moving them tank to tank and getting them to breed that way, I hardly ever see the eggs. If you're talking about like blue galaris, I don't know if I'd really feel comfortable about just selling the eggs, because their fertility sometimes is not the best. And I just don't want like to just take people's money for the random chance that they may get fish. Like, I would want them to get what they expect. And as far as shipping eggs, I've seen people do them, and I think that should be done differently, because a lot of people will use that methylene blue and it's not so good for anything. And I know a lot of old timers, you know, they use that stuff and they swear by that stuff, but in my opinion, just putting them in with some beneficial bacteria would be a lot better, because it's just naturally how they're supposed to be. Because I've seen that blue stuff, that methylene blue stuff, just tear them up. Too many times I've seen it. But yeah, no, I've never had to I don't even know what I would ship eggs of anything. And when it comes to fish, sometimes will sell the younger ones. Just because it's better for me to get them around while they're young, because the more they'll be. Good to see you in here, Aquarium Talk TV. Lake Missoula Aquatic says, I am interested in a plant room tour. Yes, we need to do that soon. I was actually thinking about that today and how we got to get that out, because I'm in here all the time. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in here, but nobody really knows much about it. And or the plants that are even in our fish room too. So there's a lot to catch you guys up with. Like I mentioned, I've got that new setup now to where I feel comfortable about doing videos, and super excited about. So that is on the list. I can't wait to go out and do like fish room tours too, because there's a lot of people that I've met throughout the years and that I've got on a list. I've got an actual list of people I want to go do tours of, which I think a lot of you guys would be interested in. But right now, I got to focus on Aquashell Daytona coming up. I'm excited about that. I'm hoping the beach will be all right. Last I looked, the water was kind of crazy. I'm hoping it'll be all right. I love me the beach. Big reason why I moved to Florida. Hey, what? Wesley said he wanted to say hi too, so hello from Wesley. But all right, we are coming up on the hour mark. That actually went a lot quicker. Started off a little slow, but you guys here with the questions, chatting with me, definitely helps make the time pass quick, a lot quicker than I thought. So I appreciate you all joining. And hopefully some people have learned stuff. And if not, you know, I'm always learning stuff. Like, I didn't know those red devil tetras were rare. I'll be interested to see if Spec V gets those going. I appreciate y'all. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Dun 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 dun. He's the best.